All right, folks. As we speak, Trump Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt is wrapping up her latest disastrous White House press briefing, where, among other things, she confirmed that Trump is following through on his plans to send the military into Portland, Oregon, that Trump is looking for ways to cut federal aid to Portland, Oregon. She was confronted by a Fox News reporter, of all people, about Trump's Project 2025 lies, and she's generally just getting triggered at reasonable questions from reasonable reporters. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to play, starting with this very ominous one.
President Trump will end the radical left's reign of terror in Portland once and for all. The president has directed Secretary Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other left-wing domestic terrorists.
Portland, Oregon is not under siege. Absolutely no evidence to support it. And why this is particularly ominous isn't just the lie, but also what Trump previously said just about a week ago when he first indicated this threat. We did a video about it. He said, at the request of Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, I am directing Secretary of War, Defense, Pete Hegseth, to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and to any of our ICE facilities under siege by attack from attack by Antifa. Again, so basically repeating all this word for word, and other domestic terrorists. And then this is the key part. I'm also authorizing full force if necessary. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, this is nothing short of a kill order. Donald Trump issuing a kill order saying, hey, U.S. military, not only can you violate federal law by going in and engaging in domestic law enforcement, which violates the Posse Comitatus Act, I'm also authorizing you to engage in deadly force, lethal force against American citizens. That's incredibly dangerous and a major escalation and, of course, a major demonstration of Trump's authoritarianism. Here's another clip.
Just last night, we saw an extremely troubling incident where conservative journalist Nick Sorter was captured on video being taken into custody by the Portland police after he was ambushed by Antifa and was defending himself from these assaults. But instead of arresting these violent mob members night after night after night, who are ravaging this community, the police arrested a journalist who was there trying to document the chaos, and everyone in this room should be extremely concerned about that. The Department of Justice spoke with that journalist this morning, and they will be launching a full investigation into his arrest. This incident is part of a troubling trend in Portland where left-wing mobs believe they get to decide who can visit and live in their city. It is not their city. It is the American people's city, and President Trump is going to restore that. I just spoke with the president about this, and he has directed his team here at the White House to begin reviewing aid that can potentially be cut in Portland. We will not fund states that allow anarchy. There will also be an additional surge of federal resources to Portland immediately, including enhanced CBP and ICE resources. Law and order will prevail, and President Trump will make sure of it.
So, again, we're waiting for more information about the Nick Sorter arrest. As far as I'm aware, there's no actual footage of the arrest that Karoline Leavitt is describing. She's painting it one way, and the Justice Department is investigating. I've seen no public available evidence corroborating her claims that it was some sort of overreach by the Portland police. But again, it's hilarious coming from this administration that literally will show up in masks, concealing their faces, not identifying themselves, and effectively black bag and disappear people in unmarked vans. That's happened time and time and time and time and time again under this administration. And now they're talking about Portland police. Pretty pathetic. So again, also just the fact that they're threatening to try to cut federal assistance from Portland, Oregon, which would include Trump supporters and Trump voters and Republicans in Portland, Oregon, an incredible abuse of power by Donald Trump. Here's another clip.
Kelly.
How would this administration define what makes a Democrat agency, which agencies, and what constitutes being a Democrat agency?
I think this administration has been very clear, Kelly, that we're not going to tolerate waste, fraud, and abuse in our government. And we've also been very clear to point out when agencies or when programs do not align with this administration's values of putting our country first. You've seen that with USAID and in various other cases where there's been cuts made or funding has been slashed. And so, again, unfortunately, we're having to do a massive review of the bureaucracy to be good stewards of the American taxpayer dollar. And it's the Democrats who have forced the White House and the president into this position by voting to shut the government down.
Well, no, it's that Donald Trump needs Democratic votes to keep the government open and refuse to meet with them in good faith and negotiate with them. And that's on him. Donald Trump has actually gone viral over the years for saying, of course, he said this about President Obama, that if there's a government shutdown, it would be the president's fault, right? Because you're the one who's supposed to get everybody together. Well, now he's the president, and that burden falls to him. When you need votes, you need to meet and negotiate in good faith. And then if it turns out that Democrats are asking for genuinely unreasonable things, maybe that's different. But of course, they've claimed that, but not provided any evidence. All the Democrats are asking for are wildly popular things supported by a majority of Republicans, which is to not deduct and not restrict health care in this country. Donald Trump has targeted the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare subsidies, Medicaid cuts through the One Big Beautiful Bill. The majority, the vast and overwhelming majority of the American people oppose that. So it seems like a perfectly reasonable request to make. I digress. Here's another clip.
Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. During the campaign...
Thank you, Peter.
I was raised to say thank you in the White House briefing room. During the campaign, President Trump said that he did not know anything about Project 2025. Now he knows about it. Is that the blueprint for shrinking the government?
Look, the blueprint is what the president and his team and his cabinet secretaries ultimately decide. And the president trusts his cabinet secretaries to identify where there is waste, fraud, and abuse. We pointed out this morning, or Russ Vogt tweeted about this morning, a Chicago rail project that was canceled. We paused $2.1 billion in Chicago infrastructure projects, specifically the Red Line extension and the red and purple modernization projects. And it's because the administration is concerned that the Biden administration was handing out taxpayer dollars to pay for this construction based on DEI. DOT is reviewing the race-based contracting on unconstitutional grounds, and in the meantime, the Department of Transportation funds for these projects are on hold. So I guess this answers both of your questions. This would be an example of that.
So Donald Trump, as we did a video about yesterday, Donald Trump denied during the 2024 campaign cycle that he had anything to do or any knowledge of Project 2025, despite mountains of evidence to the contrary. Then he came out and admitted, oh, yeah, I know all about Project 2025, and one of its key architects, Russ Vogt, is the guy I'm putting in charge of targeting Democrat agencies and Democrat programs. Now, again, confirming what we all knew to be true, which is that Trump was lying because Project 2025 was wildly unpopular. And so that's why Peter Doocy was asking the question, how much of Project 2025 is actually the blueprint for this administration? Well, it's, according to the evidence, objectively the blueprint for the Trump administration. Here we are 9 months in, 8.5 months in, and according to Project 2025 Tracker, which compares the provisions in this, 1,000 plus page tome compared to what the Trump administration is actively implementing, 48% Project 2025 has already been implemented. Pretty scary. Here's another clip.
Just because there's so much shutdown talk, something different. What do you guys think about the NFL's decision to name Bad Bunny as the Super Bowl halftime performer, somebody who has not scheduled shows in the U.S. because he says that he's worried that ICE is going to come and arrest his fans?
Well, look, I know there are many in this room who are very anxious to hear the president's response to Bad Bunny being the halftime show, so I won't get ahead of him. I won't reveal what he feels about this. Next time you all ask him a question, you're welcome to do that. I have my own feelings on that, but that's not what I'm up here to talk about. As far as ICE being at the Super Bowl, as far as I'm aware, there's no tangible plan for that in store right now. However, of course, this administration is always going to arrest and deport illegal immigrants when we find them. If they are criminals, we're going to do the right thing by our country.
So, Bad Bunny is a wildly popular reggaeton artist, and he's going to be playing at the Super Bowl. I think he appeared at the Super Bowl halftime before in some capacity. I don't know. Not a football guy. But, yeah, this has MAGA up in arms. Megyn Kelly says that this is a middle finger to MAGA. Well, that's great. I don't give a shit about that. I'm not entirely sure how Bad Bunny is inherently a middle finger to MAGA, unless he's just because he's brown. Maybe that's something that triggers her. I'm not entirely sure. But yes, MAGA is extremely upset about this, which I think is hilarious because they're triggered snowflakes. So let them continue to be triggered. Here's another clip.
Thank you, Caroline. Has the president declared war on international drug cartels? And if so, or if he will, does he feel he needs congressional approval?
As the White House has said many times, the president has directed these actions, these strikes against Venezuelan drug cartels and these boats, consistent with his responsibility to protect the United States interests abroad and in furtherance of the U.S. national security and foreign policy interests. This is pursuant to his constitutional authority as commander-in-chief and the chief executive to conduct foreign relations. In each of these cases, Michael, the vessels have been assessed by the U.S. intelligence community to be affiliated with designated terrorist organizations engaged at the time in trafficking illicit drugs to our country. The president has been very clear, dating back to the campaign trail, that he is always going to do what's in the best interest of the American homeland. And he also promised the American people he was going to end the drug epidemic that has taken far too many American lives. And you're seeing those actions play out.
Well, we're not seeing those actions play out because you're alleging that they're drug traffickers. You're not actually proving that they're drug traffickers. And even if they are drug traffickers, that's not a group you declare war against and just authorize the military to violate both domestic and international law. You're supposed to interdict them. You're supposed to arrest them because they're entitled to civil liberty and due process rights. So many issues with that. Again, even conservative lawyers like Andy McCarthy of Fox News have been calling this out. So pretty morally and legally dubious at best. And that's being much more generous than the Trump administration deserves. Here's another clip.
Question on the shutdown, Caroline. Hakeem Jeffries has said that President Trump is in the Presidential Witness Protection Program since the shutdown has begun. What's the White House's reaction to that?
That's just more ridiculous fodder from Hakeem Jeffries. As you all know, because you're here every day, the president is literally working around the clock right now. I think he has a swearing-in ceremony, or he already did. He has several meetings on the books today. He literally works 24/7. Anyone who works in this place or covers this place, as you all do, knows that to be true.
That's a really stupid lie because literally working 24/7 means you're literally working every second of every minute of every hour, 7 days a week, which is physically impossible. So she probably meant, figuratively 24/7, or she could just be that she's a pathological liar, much like her boss. And so she felt the need to exaggerate to spectacularly dishonest degrees, but pretty stupid response by Karoline Leavitt. Here's another clip.
Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. 2 questions on the shutdown. You've argued that these impending layoffs are necessary to keep essential services up and running, but that has never been the case in any previous shutdown. Even when the government was shut down for 35 days in Trump's first term, you've never had to lay off thousands of workers to keep essential services up and running. So why are layoffs now necessary in this shutdown?
Because we have an administration and we have a president who are wholeheartedly focused on restoring fiscal sanity to our government and doing the right thing by the American taxpayer. We are $37 trillion in debt, and the federal government is currently shut down. There is no more money coming into the federal government's coffers. And as you've also seen since the beginning, in January, this administration is focusing on waste, fraud, and abuse. And so Democrats have given this administration an unenviable choice to have to take a look at the balance sheet and identify where these cuts and layoffs can be made.
No, it's actually a really stupid answer for a variety of reasons. Number one, if that were the case, then that would have applied to a much longer shutdown in Trump's first term, and it didn't. So again, she's just objectively wrong and will always lose the debate. Number one. Number two, she says, well, this administration is focused on fiscal responsibility. This administration was the last administration because, as the reporter points out, Donald Trump was president then. Unless you're conceding that Donald Trump didn't give a damn about fiscal responsibility and is actually quite fiscally irresponsible and profligate, in which case, again, you lose because it humiliates Trump, and you will always lose the debate. Number three, Trump was objectively fiscally profligate because of that $37 trillion that Karoline Leavitt is complaining about. Trump added $8 trillion on his watch, the single greatest contribution in a 4-year term. So again, it speaks to Trump's fiscal irresponsibility. And again, if Trump wants to avoid a government shutdown, then he and Democrats have to come together to negotiate. Democrats attempted to do so. They even offered a bill to keep the government funded. Republicans voted it down. Democrats are not obligated to save Trump from himself. If you want the government open, both Democrats and Republicans have to vote because neither party can get it done on their own. That means there has to be a negotiation. Democrats tried to do it. Donald Trump refused to have one and instead posted like bullshit AI stupid memes and stuff like that. So pretty ridiculous and a really pathetic answer by Karoline Leavitt. Here's another clip.
And you just said this is an unenviable choice, that this is an unfortunate consequence. But the president has described this as an unprecedented opportunity. to lay off additional workers. He's posted a video likening Russ vote to the Grim Reaper. So which is this? Is this an opportunity to fire more workers or an unfortunate consequence?
Look, the president likes to have a little fun every now and then, and I think both things can be true at the same time. The Democrats have given the administration this opportunity, and we don't like laying people off. Nobody takes joy in that around here, and if you think that, then I think that's very sad. You view the White House and our staff as wanting to put people out of work. Nobody wants to do that, but sometimes in government you have to make tough decisions.
Again, really stupid answer, because these things can't possibly be true. This can't be an opportunity and a burden at the same time. This can't be something which is really solemn, really terrible, and also something that's excites Russ vote and Donald Trump, and a great opportunity to target Democrat agencies. They are by definition mutually exclusive, and Karoline Leavitt, I think, is smart enough to know that, so she's trying to clean up Trump's words and failing miserably. One last clip.
Thank you. At the top of the briefing, you made a statement about that the Democrats are interested in giving health care to illegal immigrants.
Yes, they are.
U.S. law already prohibits that. It's a 1996 law saying that they cannot give unauthorized immigrants any federally subsidized health care coverage through Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, or the Children's Health Insurance Program. There seems to be a disconnect in the messaging.
Are you denying that Medicaid money has never gone to illegal aliens in the United States of America?
No, she's not denying anything. She's saying that federal law has prohibited this for years. So what you're saying is by definition untrue. It can't be that Democrats are trying to make it so that undocumented immigrants are entitled to federal Medicaid funding or to Obamacare if that's been prohibited by law for years, if not decades, right? You would actually have to show where they're trying to revoke that decades-old law. But you can't do that. So again, it's just the talking point getting relentlessly fact-checked. Well, is that so? Are you saying no illegal immigrant, it has never gotten these Medicaid funds? That would be like saying Republicans really want to abolish murder. They really want to they want to decriminalize murder. Donald Trump wants to decriminalize murder. He wants to make it so that you can murder people. And then for Karoline Leavitt to say, what the hell are you talking about? Murder's been illegal since the inception of this country. And then I come back and say, oh, so you're saying under Trump, nobody's ever been murdered? What the hell are you talking? That just means that in a few instances, the law has been broken. That doesn't mean that A, the law doesn't exist, and B, hasn't existed for forever, and C, that Democrats are wanting to repeal the law. You haven't demonstrated that. So again, very stupid. She got very triggered by that perfectly fair and reasonable question. But that's textbook Karoline Leavitt for you. I think that's about it, folks. Again, she wrapped up that particular press briefing as the government shutdown continues on and the polling is atrocious for Trump. But in the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.